Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Tea, and I'm T. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Please share this. This is going to be a good show today. So, how was everybody's weekend on a scale of 1 to 10? I hope you had a wonderful weekend because I know I did. Oh, hold on for a second. I cannot forget my Periscope family. How am I going to forget my Periscope family? This is crazy. I'm coming, Periscope. Wait a minute. Hold on for 1 second. Good morning, Facebook. Please share right now. Let me just go to Periscope, men. Hurt. Y'all know how I do. This is just all me. Oops, that's not hurt. 1 minute. Usually I'm all right, but today I'm not because I had a long weekend. Long, good weekend. How was your weekend? Everybody put in the comments how your weekend was. And now we are live on Periscope. Good morning. Good morning. So today we have with us Mr. Barry Cooper. So let me tell you a little bit about Barry. Barry Cooper is the co-founder of Cultural Builders New York City, which is an educational consulting company that supports schools with buildings, thriving experiences for all who are a part of the community. Mr. Cooper has been in education and social justice for work for 17 years, holding the role of Dean and Director of Culture for the Eagle Academy, Ocean Hills, Brownville, Program Coordinator for the Mayor's Action Plan, Next Steps Program, Lead Facilitator for Center for New Leadership, and also is the founder of Little Bro. I love this. Summer Camp is a 7-week program that supports elementary young men learn leadership and civic action. Barry Cooper is also the author of a self-help book entitled The Provider, a guide for co-parenting dads, which has become a required reading for the CUNY Fatherhood Academy and is widely used around the fatherhood support network. Cooper states that in order to change our future, we have to invest in the future. He believes that the greatest investment in life is to put social stock into our children of tomorrow. Welcome, Mr. Barry Cooper. You know you are my sister from another mother.
Yes. What's up, sis?
I am so happy to have you here right now. So we talked a little bit on the back end about how we see so many platforms where women, well, actually men are telling women what the problem is with dating. We were just talking about that's really not what's important right now. What's important is helping our men become whole, healed, and ready to be in relationships, because you can't have a healthy relationship if you are not healthy. So let's talk a little bit about my book. So I thank you so much too, because you wrote an excerpt in my book. It's Healing Time, Men Hurt Too. And what you wrote was so eye-opening to me, because a lot of times men don't express these things. So when women do get in a relationship with you guys, we don't know all this stuff happens. So when problems come, we start to blame ourselves. We're trying to force you to say something that you don't want to say. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book.
Absolutely.
Shout out to everybody. Have you ever put so much in others that you didn't realize that you never focused on who you are? It always feels easier to look outwardly than it is to look within. That's how I've spent most of my early adult life. It has been really painful to look at who I was at the time and being embarrassed about many of my shortcomings. On the surface, I was the man living my so-called best life. With the woman of my dreams, creating a great family, all the while living it on a weak foundation. I could place all the blame on my daughter's mother, who left our relationship when I needed her. The anger, sadness, depressive spirit that consumed me felt like life itself wasn't worth fighting for. How could she leave? How could she destroy what we were building? How could she break up our family? For months, I spent nights in a mentally dark space and emotionally enraged by the notion of her thinking that I wasn't good enough. It was a very difficult time in my life. I was navigating through my first heartbreak. To top things off, I was 26 years old and had to move back to my parents' house after spending years of being independent and on my own. I was a new father with a broken heart and a bag of personal choices that kept the weight of hardship on my back 24/7. It felt like I would never catch a break. Nights of crying, days of trying to figure out fatherhood while rebuilding who she had destroyed took a lot out of me. There would be arguments with my parents because I thought they didn't understand what I was going through, being called weak because I showed my emotions. which made matters even worse. Damn, even writing this right now is overwhelming for me. This over expectation of what manhood means always left me feeling like I was behind the ball. The pain, I think, the pain that pain, oh, that pain I think was the worst. The internal second guessing with a world of mistakes that blankets any possibility of change in my life kept me stuck in my feelings for a very long time. The constant replay of her cheating on me illuminated how I was cheating myself. The fact that she didn't stick around through the hard times forced me to see how I was showing up for myself. This breakup was needed for me to look in the mirror at who I was versus who I was trying to be. The old saying goes, don't try fixing a broken glass because you only end up hurting you. But what if the broken glass, you have no choice but to pick up the parts of yourself? That's what I had to do. So we're just gonna stop right there because
Wow.
they get the rest of that, right? Listen, they want
Hearing you read it made me emotional again.
They just need to go get the book. So let's start with, you know, I got my notes.
Yes, I know you do.
So let's talk a little bit about rejection, because there was a lot of rejection there from a woman. And there's so many men out here. Like, I just saw a story where a man killed his 3-year-old child and stabbed his pregnant girlfriend who broke up with him. So that's that rejection. And you talked about this right just now. That was so powerful. What do we need to do, or what do you guys need, and how did you process the rejection?
Well, I definitely did not process the rejection well at that time. And I put it as hurtful, not realizing now, fast forwarding, that I always rejected who I was, right? There was things that I didn't like that I tried to sweep under the rug. There was areas in my life that I knew were incomplete. And because I kept rejecting who I was, the person that I then told myself that I was madly in love with, and I poured all of this energy into trying to create this newness, I still had like the old me standing right next to me. So when she rejected me, she illuminated all of the things that I tried to hide, right? Like, so we're in an argument, she's saying these certain things to me that I already tried to bury. Now she just brought them back to life because she can see my behaviors. I probably couldn't see them myself, but when it was over for her, these are the things that now she used to weaponize against me to have me think more negatively about who I was.
Oh, wow. You said these are the things she used as a weapon against you.
Absolutely.
This is a whole learning experience for every woman that's listening. I don't want this to be about nothing but a learning experience for
Absolutely.
us. So the things that you told her in confidence, in an intimate relationship and being vulnerable, she used against you. Is that why so many Black men are not sharing their true feelings, because the fear of it being brought back up in a negative way?
Absolutely. So I think that, well, I feel like there's no research on it, so I don't want to be like the bearer of like this truth. But in my opinion, I believe that the reason why a lot of men of color resist giving too much is because they don't want it to be used against them, right? And if you think about like the family structure for the last 40 years, it's been a situation where women are the matriarch of the household. So if you're a boy and you only been raised by a woman, and your mother in turn sometimes berates you, and not because she's doing it intentionally, but she's thinking that she's creating a man, that boy grows up with this level of resentment. So now he enters in a relationship and he has his first girlfriend already did it to him. So he's not going to share because now he has to be this so-called man who has his guards up because he doesn't want to be attacked again for being vulnerable.
So I say this all the time. The first disappointment that a man experiences from his mother, that is not dealt with, is the first thing that damages him. So you said when men are being vulnerable in their home with their mothers and then being attacked, so to speak, because I have 3 sons. And that's why, people ask me, why you think you could write a book about men? Because I gave birth to 3 of them. And
absolutely.
It's healing time, Men Hurt Too, the journey of manhood through a mother's eyes. So I see some things, and I've seen the error of my ways on the way that I emasculated my son when I didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just talk a little bit right now, because all of us grew up through different lenses. So I want to talk a little bit right now about your relationship with your mother.
Mm-hmm. So it's ironic. So I actually grew up in a household with my mom and my dad. So it was like a typical, Black household where my mother and father, they took on the roles where my mother was the nurturer and my father was the disciplinarian. But I think in their immaturity, now that I'm an adult and I do this work, so my dad was the guy who was like on my neck.
Right.
And I internalized that as like he didn't like me then.
Oh.
Right. I didn't internalize it the right way, where when I with my mother in that same dynamic, I felt like she didn't protect me.
Woo! Whoa.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like now, and now that I'm older, I realize that they just was doing what was taught to them. But now that I'm older, what happens is that I don't look to them until I'm in like real dire crisis. And it's because when you're a child, you develop a certain way, and now these type of ideas and concepts and thoughts about who your parents were follow you. So it's like I'll go out and I'm so independent that I don't look for support. And that's what I feel like, because I felt like I wasn't protected at that time growing up. So now when I'm in relationships, what I have to always tell myself, and I'm in a great relationship now, but sometimes I'll get up and I'll just go and do something and not be cognizant that I'm in a relationship and I have a partner. And with a partner, I can feel protected. I can feel safe. I'm not stupid, all of those different things. So I got to always constantly remind myself, but it comes from when I grew up, I didn't feel protected and I didn't feel liked.
Whoa. So not feeling protected and liked by your own parents, because what we're trying to get to the root of the problem, so people understand that when people come into a relationship with you, what's going on is not about you.
Mm-hmm.
The other person, well, we're going to specifically speak about women right now. We always make it about us. Like if a man shuts down, like if you go somewhere by yourself and you leave your woman, and she's thinking, oh, he just don't want to be with me, whatever. And then you just shed some light on that it doesn't have anything to do with you. I have a defense mechanism that I make sure that you're not going to hurt me based on the fact that my mother did not protect me. And again, we have to understand, women, because I'm speaking to my women right now, that the first woman in a man's life that disappoints him and teaches him how to deal with rejection and teaches him how to protect himself is the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And you said your father was really, really hard. What did that, you said, and you felt like he didn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that what he did then was good now?
So it is funny because
I'm sorry, one more thing. Do you think it was good then and now? And what did it teach you being a father?
So it definitely taught me a lot of things. I would say that I don't think it was good. Like it doesn't serve me well now. However, what it did do was it gave me the tool to understand men who necessarily probably didn't have a father figure around or have a consistent male figure around and what that looked like. So my father only raised me based on the tools that he had. So it gave me a level of empathy for him now in my adult life. So it kind of like shows up differently. But in my 20s, it was terrible. Like any man said something to me, I was aggressive. I didn't do well in relationships that was like, if we debated or argued, I was shut down and things like that. So, it did not serve me well. It doesn't serve me well if I resort back to that thinking. It totally is not something that I try to subscribe to at all. What was the other part of your question?
What did it teach you going into fatherhood with your own children?
Absolutely. So now as a father, and it's funny because now when me and my dad kick it, he be like telling me how proud he is of me and things like that. But what it did for me was when I deal with my children, I realized that hitting them, beating them, punishing them in a way does not work, right? Like it is, and even with like the Kobe Bryant situation and all the things that we see on TV, what I realize is that we can't protect our children. The only thing we could do as parents is guide them, give them the tools, allow them to fail, and then teach them through their failures. Not beat it out of them, not punish them for it, because at the end of the day, they still have to deal with it. So as a parent now, I try to be as authoritative as possible, where I give my children a framework to work out of. And when they move outside of that box, I have a conversation with them about what made them do that, how did it show up for them, and do they want to get in trouble for it? And then they able to like process in there. My daughter's 13, my son is 22, but now they're able to process, okay, is this beneficial for me versus feeling like if I do this, I'm going to be in punishment or I'm going to get in trouble. I feel like what I've done as a parent is giving them the ability to rationally think at their young ages.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Which I feel like I didn't necessarily have in particular from my father.
So are you conscious to not overcompensate because your mother made you feel unprotected and your father made you feel not liked? Are you conscious of not overcompensating and not to say give your children too much freedom or be too understanding? Because sometimes out of guilt, and in my time of parenting with my sons, out of guilt, and you know my story, we won't get into that. I overcompensated for my boys. I didn't make them do much. I didn't expect much from them because so much damage, was done to them. And then my childhood or what my parents did, or the way, like you said, they did the best that they could do with what they had coming from where they didn't have life coaches and all of this other stuff. Are you conscious of not overcompensating or not holding them accountable?
Well, I overcompensate all the time.
Oh, okay.
I do. But I think what happens is that because I'm aware of it, I always lean either on my girl Shantini for like checking and holding myself accountable, or I'll check in with her mother, like because her mother is like, so like I think as co-parents now, particularly with Chase, I lean on her because I know that she kind of like is a little bit more, I don't want to say harsh or strict, but she pulls the reins in a little quicker than I would. Right. I would probably allow Chase in particular to like do before I pull her in because I'm guiding. I know that she's doing things that's against her, but I want her to feel the failure so that way she could be vulnerable enough. But sometimes that's my girl. So she knows how to get me, right, to be honest. So, but I'm aware that I overcompensate based on that. Like, I don't want to be too harsh on her because I don't want to show up like my father. So, and I don't want to be too lax because I don't want her to feel like she's not protected and things like that. So I am aware of it, but I lean on other people, the village, to like either say, nah, you good, you doing the right thing, or no, you should maybe show up like this.
I love what you just said, because you said, I lean on the village, which means you're willing to get help from other people.
Absolutely.
And it's a journey for men to be able to be vulnerable without feeling emasculated. It's a journey for a man to feel vulnerable without feeling like somebody's going to bring it up. If you just tuned in, you're tuned into Coffee with T, and I'm T, and we're here with Coach Barry Cooper. Yes. We're talking about men hurt too, and what rejection does to Black men, and how, Black men process from their lens of how they were brought up. So we're here to help men heal, because our journey for Men Hurt Too, the series, is to help men heal, and not to come on here and talk about dating and all these other things, but to give men an opportunity to just speak their truth, because this is your truth. And our last guest last week, Lindu, said he was 6 years old and he lost his mother at 6 years old, and he never felt at home anywhere because he was passed around from house to house. And that is his truth. And to be in a relationship with a woman, for her to make it about her, and this is what we're doing, and this is why men are not healing. So your truth is different, but you have some of the same issues.
Yeah.
So let's go on to, you said in my book that many nights you cried and that you suffered from this breakup. Do men really suffer from breakups? Because we have a problem as women because y'all act like y'all don't. Like we know we at the house crying and we can't eat and we done lost 700 pounds and we, you know what I'm saying? And then we see you out living, and most of the time, most men we see out with another woman. And do y'all hurt from breakups? And do
hell yeah. Let me tell you something. I would almost argue that most relationships after that breakup never really works. Like, we jump back into, and the reason why we jump into relationships quick is because we don't want to have to wake up and look at ourselves by ourselves. And that goes for men and women, but men too. Like, I was sick, because here's the thing: if I'm already in a state of like subconsciously rejecting who I am, right? And then I get into this relationship and I put it on this pedestal, and everything that I guess I tried to hide or not show still comes out. Like, that is a direct assault on my personal soul, my character, who I am. Like, damn, everything that I tried to hide, everything that I didn't want to deal with, I try to put it in this book bag and have this new relationship, and then it spills out again, right? Like, so not only do you have to deal with the breakup, but now you have to deal with like this, all of your skeletons looking at you.
Ooh.
So it's like, definitely understand that men, we deal with that, but it may show up a little differently. Right. Like, so I am in tune with my emotions. I can care less. Everybody has emotions. So if I need to cry, I'm going to cry. If I need to get angry, I'm going to get angry. If I need to be happy, I'm going to be happy. But with men, what happens is that our ego gets the best of us, because we don't want to feel that, because we're told from when we're younger that if we cry, we need to man up. Right. Like, so like, we have these ideas in our head that if a tear drops, that means that I'm not man enough. And if we don't want that to happen, so now we have to use our shield. So now when your ego comes in, you don't want to feel the emptiness. So now you feel it with another individual.
Wow.
If that makes sense. So it's like, it's not that he necessarily wants to be there, because there's been situations where you see breakups, a man is out dating multiple women, and then he'll go back to the woman if everything works out. It's not that those women, they probably meant something, but he's just feeling that void until he could get his wholeness back.
Ooh.
Or he could feel the sense of his wholeness again. So it's just like, know that men, we just emote in a way where, especially for men of color, where we can't shed tears. Because when we were at our youngest, 5, 6, 7, 8, we could get a scar on our leg and somebody's yelling at us because we cry too much.
Wow.
What does that mean? I need to cry until I get it out. Where
I'm hurt.
For young ladies, you could cry until you go to sleep. Somebody's gonna pick you up, they're gonna console you. So it's like expressing your emotions earlier. It was given to you. It was gifted to you at a younger age. So women need to understand that if you're dealing with a man and he's showing up too macho, that means that somewhere somebody told him that he couldn't be vulnerable.
Wow.
He has these ideas that he can't be vulnerable.
And how do we as women, and not only girlfriends and all, just as women, auntie, mother, sister, cousin, friend, how do we get you guys to get out of that space of whoever told you don't be vulnerable, that it's okay to be vulnerable now?
Yeah, well, so if you say that you love an individual and you're in a relationship with them and you want to see if this is going to work out, then I would say patience. Now, I can't dictate what that looks like for each individual person. However, you have to be patient, and you need not to try to be a fixer. I think what happens is that we find a lot of our sisters who have masked their own emotions with their material things, like their job, their career, their house, all of the material possessions that they have, and now they feel like they're on top of the world, which you should, my sister. You should. Those are accomplishments. Those are things that you have, gained based on your success. However, we don't need a sympathetic woman. We need an empathetic woman.
Ooh.
We need a woman who will try their best to understand and not to fix, because that is our process to fix. So if you say you love him and you see him going into a state that may be different than what you're used to, all you got to do is just sit with him and rub his back and allow him to talk and allow him to get it out and just say, baby, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Because he's going to talk himself into a plan as long as he knows he has somebody that's going to be there. Not hold him down, but just be there for him, because he's probably never had that. So for my sisters, it's like, be empathetic. Don't be a fixer, because the only thing you can fix is pipes. You can't fix people.
Or allow him. You said allow him to talk, or allow him to be quiet, because a lot of times we go into this state of panic when a man shuts down and won't talk to us. And I'm speaking from experience. We go to the state of panic of, what's the matter? What happened? You need to say something. You never have nothing to say. And then it just sets it to a whole nother level of shutdown.
Yes.
So when men go into that mode of they can't communicate, what's the best way for us to process that or deal with it?
Absolutely. So it's like when you're in guest, obviously you're not going to see the stuff that's in the background. You're not going to see the subconscious stuff. So you're only dealing with what your situation is.
Right.
But if you feel like when you're debating or you're in a disagreement with the person that you say that you love, and you start exhibiting like, this is a high level of stress on me as an individual, I feel like I'm not being heard, right? He is not hearing me. I feel like we're raising our voices. So I'm exerting way too much energy on this situation. Then I need to take a step back.
Right.
And if you need to take a step back by, as a woman or a man, each person taking a walk, going to separate rooms, giving it some time for both parties to reflect. And this is something that me and my girl does, Shantini. If we have a disagreement, we may separate for a while, and then maybe an hour or 2 hours, I'm going to be conscious, or she's going to be conscious, and texting. Let's send a text. Hey, this is how I felt. This is what I experienced, right? And this is what I hope happens. Right. She reads it, gives her time to internalize it, because you can't shake words, right? And then that person has the ability to respond. Now, that person, they may not be down. They may still be angry. Once you see in the text that person responds in what you may feel negative or may bring up more stress, then you don't got to be yelling. What's the name? You can just text back. I hear what you're saying. I'm going to still take a step back. I'll see you later. Love you. Right? That's growth-based disagreements, right? You're leaving the conversation or the text thread still in the disagreement, but you're not attacking each other. Right. You're not throwing hate. You're not saying things that will go against what you're trying to develop. And that's so, so important. If you feel like you're getting into debates with the person that you love as a man or a woman, and you feel like you are losing, you got to ask yourself, what are you attached to? Like, do you have to be a winner, or are you trying to build something? Like, I don't want right or wrong in my relationship. All I want is understanding. So if you're looking to be right, or you're looking for that person to be wrong, you in the wrong business. You need to be by yourself. Right. If we're talking about true development comes from two people having an understanding. If I'm here, she there, we got to find this. If we don't find this, then we don't got nothing. And that's what I feel like happens, Trey.
Oh, I love that. Like you said, most of the time we need to self-reflect when we're getting into these combative arguments, because like you said, you want to be right or you wrong, whatever. And the thing about it is like this: you grew up in a different house. Your lady grew up in a different house.
Yep.
Like maybe her mother cooked the chicken and she put the chicken in the bag and shook it up and put the flour and all of that in the bag. And maybe your mother seasoned the chicken first. And then when you get together, it's like, why you cook the chicken like that? Because that's the way my mother cooked chicken. She seasoned the flour in the bag, all the stuff in there, and then she shook the chicken.
Yeah.
Well, ain't right, because my mother seasoned the chicken on the side and then floured it. So we have to always understand that we have two different lenses of how we grew up, two different blueprints. So we are at 9:29 and our time is up at 9:30.
Oh man.
I know I told Lindu we're gonna have to do a part 2, but I think we're gonna do a group one with all of the fellas.
Yeah, you should do a panel. You should do a whole panel discussion.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a panel with all the fellas to come together, and then we can get more understanding in a group setting. But I'm gonna ask you one more question before we go. Do you think the system, because you speak a lot about in your book is all about co-parenting, helping Black co-parent. Do you think the system is failing you guys as Black men when it comes to your rights as a parent? Because it was this one lady, she got her hair done. The father got her daughter's hair done and she cut the braids out because the father got the hair done. And sometimes when the children live in the house with us, we think we got more power than you, but should you have to have permission to go get your son's hair cut? Should you have to have permission to get your daughter her hair braided? So do you think the system and us as Black sisters are attacking and failing you in the parenting arena?
Wow. So I have mixed feelings about this. So I feel like I'm going to deal with the system first.
Okay.
and this is because, you know, I'm an adjunct professor, a life coach for the CUNY Fatherhood Academy. So I train fathers on, you know, life skills at least 3 times a week. And a lot of them are young fathers, 18 to 29, and they just, you know, they're in the court system and things like that. And what I tell them is the system is what it is. It is designed, it ain't designed for nobody, right? Especially black people or people of color. The system is not designed for us, period. However, what happens is that in order for them to feed the mill, they have to break down the men in our society. If you look at any thriving society other than the Amazonic society, but most thriving societies, when you have a balanced man or you have a community where the man's presence is evident, almost like the Jewish community, you see a stronghold. So what they do is they definitely weigh harder on the men. But I always tell my brothers, you need to go in there with an expert. Do not walk into a system if you do not know how the system operates.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like you only, and even that for women too, when you see men who go in there with lawyers and they're lawyered up, and they have somebody that's talking to that judge or that referee because they have a relationship with them, it weighs better on the man. So it's just like the system, period, isn't for any of us, but for men in particular. If you cannot articulate yourself, if you know that when you walk in there, you get intimidated because of the triggers of what it means to be in a courtroom, then you need not to walk in there on your own, and you need to be very clear in what you're asking for. And if you're not, then guess what? The system will work against you. Now, when it comes to our women, what y'all need to understand, sister, is when you give birth to that beautiful, precious baby, and that baby definitely comes out of you, and you went through 9 months of labor, and we respect you for it, the system says that neither parent has parental control until you go down to the courts and you petition for parental right. And a lot of people don't know that. So it's like both parents don't have parental right, especially in the state of New York. You have to go down there and petition for custody, parental rights, and all of those different things. Now, I know that the baby comes home with you, and the baby is there most of the time. But on paper, if we're only talking about the system and how it affects us, neither parent has parental control until you establish who has custody. So we got to be very conscious of that. And if you find yourself, because at a time when I was with my daughter's mother, because we had too much mixed emotions involved and we weren't letting each other go in a healthy way, I went and I got joint custody.
Yes.
So that way it can show her that there's some restrictions on your level of authority and there's restrictions on my level of authority. And I feel like we're having joint custody. It forced us to be amicable, and we had to think about what we did. And then for me as a man, especially having a daughter, I just asked myself again, what am I attached to? If her mother take her to go get her hair done, and I feel like the hair look crazy, when my daughter come with me, I'm going to make an assessment. If I make an assessment that the hairstyle needs to look a little different, I'm going to make the hairstyle look a little different because I'm a parent as well. So like, I don't get caught up with calling and trying to figure things out. I'll just be like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then that's it. And I feel like now, 13 years later, because we've had that tool that kind of like guided how we dealt with each other, it made us better parents, and we work well together now. To some degree. I mean, she still has her ways, I still have my ways, but
of course, right. But since you did work on yourself and you've grown, it's a lot easier when you're not making it about you. And the most important thing is the child. I want to give one bit of advice to women for co-parenting with a man, because we could set a man off, and a lot of us are doing it. What is one little nugget of advice that you would get based on your experience and your expertise from your book and with different people? What is the one thing you would say to women?
So I would tell my sisters, as long as he's not physically or verbally abusing him, whenever he shows up, allow your child access.
I love that.
Because the thing is that when your child gets older, they'll be able to make their own judgment. That's the beauty about maturation and development. Like, don't feel like you're protecting your child, because the denial of daddy is just as worse as daddy not showing up.
Woo!
So if you deny your child access to his father when he does show up, now you, without even realizing it, and when your intention is to protect, but now you become the enemy. It's like telling the kid that he can't have the cookie, right? Like it's like telling your child that they can't have the Kool-Aid. Like once they see the Kool-Aid in the refrigerator, give them the Kool-Aid. Now it may be that one time, and daddy may not show up for another couple of months, and they may feel sad, but they have to process those feelings. And if you try to stop that, just know that you are suppressing something that may show up even worse. So give the father that if he's abusive and he's doing things that's going to put the child at risk, you make that assessment, then you got to do what you have to do. But if he's just a dad who is struggling with being consistent, when he does show up, allow your child to have access, please. Because if the great auntie comes into town who hasn't seen your child in 2 years and want to take them out shopping, you let the child go with great auntie, right? That aunt or that sister or whoever that person is to you, they're not showing consistent for your kids. So that's how you got to kind of like look at it. Always give your child, always allow your child access to their father. So that's a tip.
Thank you so much. If you just tuned in, you are tuned into Coffee with T, and I'm T. I'm here every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we have expert on co-parenting, Coach Barry Cooper. And we were talking all about men hurt too, because we really need to understand that men have feelings and men hurt too. And they need a safe place to heal, a safe place to be vulnerable. And last week we had Linda who spoke his truth. And this week we had Barry Cooper who spoke his truth. And ladies, we have to hear without wanting to change what Barry said. In relationships as women, when a man tells us something clear and precise, we want to change it if we want something else. But men are speaking clearly to us, and we need to listen. And it's not about hurting us or breaking us down. But I love what you said. And your next book should be Denial of Daddy, because that was just down. I co-parent really good with my children's father, but I know a lot of people don't. And I know a lot of men don't show up based on their history. And I just want the women to know, and this is not to give men excuses or any of that, but most men are doing the best that they could do from the blueprint that they were given from their dad or from their mom. So we have to have some grace and some mercy, and like you said, some empathy. So Barry, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, you can definitely find me on Facebook, Barry Cooper, Instagram, at Coach Coop, COOP_. That's probably like the major platforms that I'm on. You can go to my website, and I'll actually probably type it in here. I have 2 websites. Please. If you're an educator or you work in a school, it's www.coacherbuildersnyc.com. And then for our little bro summer camp, it's Little Bro Summer Camp at littlebroSummerCamp.com. Little is spelled all the way out. And yeah, man, hit me on Instagram and Facebook. Let's talk.
Where can I get your book?
Oh, yes. So you can get, you know what's so funny, Trey? I've been so lazy with the book. You can actually go onto my Instagram. There's a link there that'll take you directly to Amazon and purchase the book. But once CUNY started buying the books, I was just like, oh, it has a home, so I haven't been pushing it like that.
Well, somebody here may want the book. And if you can't get Barry's information, you can always get it from me. You can inbox me, email me, Trey@TreyKearney.com. You can go to my website, www.TreyKearney.com, and get all of Barry's information. This will be posted. The replay will be posted on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place, because we want people to know that men hurt too. Men are human beings first, and they have feelings. So thank you so much, Barry.
Thank you, sis, for having me.
It's okay, and I'll have you back again. Thank you guys for tuning into #Coffee with T. Remember what I tell you at the end of all my broadcasts. You deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it. Peace and blessings. And remember Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Coffee with T. And that's me. Peace and blessings. I love you guys. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.